Have you ever said to yourself, I'd love to get out with the camera today, but I just don't have the time? I know I have, and in fact, I'd say most of us have at some point. Let's be fair, life can get busy. Work takes over, the family needs you, the weather's not great. There could be dozens of reasons or excuses, but maybe we've just convinced ourselves that we need lots of time before it's even worth picking up the camera. But what if that isn't true? What if becoming a better photographer has got far less to do with how much time you have and far more to do with what you do with the time you've got? Because today, I want to show you why just 10 focus minutes can improve your photography. So over the years, I've noticed something. The photographers who improve the fastest aren't always the ones with the most talent. They're not necessarily the ones with the best camera, and they aren't always the ones with the most free time. It's those that keep turning up, picking up their camera and staying curious. They don't wait for the perfect day, for the next holiday or vacation, or until life becomes less busy. They simply make the most of the time they've got. And those small moments, done consistently, can make a massive difference. So today I want to share 4 simple exercises that prove you don't need hours on end to become a better photographer. You can do them close to home, you don't need any special equipment, and best of all, you can start today. But before we get into it, this will be of interest. If you'd like a safe space to continue your photography journey with like-minded people, then why not come and join us in our Photography Foundations community over on School. It's a really safe and friendly place to be. No ads, no algorithms, and no traditional social media nonsense. Just photographers from all around the world who are learning, practicing, sharing, and supporting each other. We have an active forum where members post their images, ask questions, and share ideas. There's a classroom with structured learning and feedback sessions, a members map so you can see who's near you, and regular challenges and discussions to keep your photography moving forward. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, the link is in the description, or you can use the QR code on the screen, and we'd love to see you there. Now before we get into those exercises, I want to share something that took me a long time to realize. I think we've been sold a little lie. We've been led to believe that improvement happens during the big moments, the big photography trips, the long walks, the weekends away, or the holidays. And don't get me wrong, I love all of those things, but they're not always where most of our improvement happens. Our improvement happens in the small moments, the 10 minutes before dinner, a quarter of an hour before work or after work, the few minutes you've got while you're waiting for someone or something. It's those little pockets of time that most of us hardly notice. And here's something to remember. Your camera doesn't care how long you have. It only cares whether you pick it up or not. And I think that actually takes the pressure off us. It reminds us that we don't need to wait for the perfect opportunity. We just need to grab the next opportunity we actually have. Because what matters isn't how long you spend with your camera, it's how present you actually are while you're using it. Does that make sense? 10 minutes of genuine curiosity will always teach you more than 2 hours of mindless shooting. And I think that's actually incredibly liberating, because it means that every single one of us, no matter how busy life gets, can still take a small step forward. And sometimes one small step is all you need. So let's put this idea to the test, because it's all very well me telling you that 10 minutes is enough, but unless I can prove it, it's just another nice idea. So let's start with my favorite exercise, not because it's the most technical, but because it actually changes the way you see. And once you change the way you see, your photography starts to change as well. So pick one single object. It could be a coffee mug, a pair of glasses, or anything else that happens to be nearby. I'll use this little plant pot. Now, so set yourself a simple challenge. Create 10 completely different photographs of that one subject. Not 10 similar photographs, 10 genuinely different ones. Maybe move higher or get lower, move in closer or step back. You could photograph the whole subject, then just a small detail. You can change your background, look out for shadows, look for reflections, or maybe try window light. And here's the important bit. Don't stop when you get a photograph you like. Keep on going, because something really interesting happens. The first 2 or 3 photographs are usually the obvious ones, or the safe ones if you like. The photographs most people would take. But then you start running out of easy ideas. And that's exactly when it becomes interesting. You start getting a bit more creative. You begin asking yourself questions. What if I moved over there? What if I cropped a little bit tighter? What if I let the shadow become the subject? Or what if I left half of it out of the frame? And without even realizing it, you stop taking photographs and you start solving visual problems. That's a huge step forward, because photography isn't really about pressing the shutter button. It's about learning to see. And seeing is definitely a skill you can develop. The more you practice it, the better it becomes. But something else is happening here as well. Every decision you make, where you stand, what you include, what you leave out, it's all helping you tell a clearer visual story. So the next time you find yourself saying, I haven't got anything to photograph, remember this little exercise. You don't need 10 subjects. You just need one and a willingness to look at it differently. Now, once you discover that one ordinary subject can give you 10 completely different photographs, something else starts to change. You stop believing that you need exciting subjects, and you also realize that you don't need exotic locations either, which brings us on to the second exercise. Now, this one is ridiculously simple. Step outside your front door and walk for 10 minutes. That's it. No driving, no particular destination, just take a walk. But before you get back home, I want you to find 5 photographs. Maybe look for the way the light falls across a wall, a pattern on the pavement, a reflection in a window, a splash of colour, maybe an interesting doorway, or maybe something you've walked past hundreds of times. For example, all these pictures were taken on the school run. So this isn't really an exercise about walking. It's an exercise about paying attention, because the camera only records what's in front of it. It's the photographer that decides what's worth noticing. And when something does catch your eye, don't just ask yourself, is this interesting? Ask, why is it interesting? What is it that made me stop? What's the story here? Those questions can turn an ordinary snapshot into a photograph that actually holds someone's attention. When you become curious about the world around you, photography becomes really exciting, because you realize you don't have to wait for a special occasion. You don't have to wait for your next holiday or for perfect conditions. You can find a great photograph on your next walk to the shops, or while walking the dog maybe. And I love that thought, because it means that photography isn't something we do every now and again. It's something we can enjoy every single day if we're prepared to look. Oh, and by the way, all those images were taken on the 10-minute walk to school. So don't tell me there's no time for photography. Anyway, so far we've discovered that we don't need more subjects. We don't need more exciting locations. But there's something else that many photographers believe they need: better light. And that's what we're going to take a look at next. So we've learned to see more in ordinary subjects. We've learned that great photographs aren't hiding in special places. So let me challenge you with something else. How many times have you looked out the window and thought, the light's no good today? I think we've all said it. At times I know I have. But here's the thing. Most of the time, it's not the light that's the problem. It's that we haven't trained our eyes yet to recognize it. So here's your third 10-minute exercise. And this one might surprise you. For 10 minutes, don't go out looking for photographs. Just go out looking for light. You don't even have to take a single picture for this if you don't want to. Just observe the light. Look at the way it falls across a wall. Watch the way it wraps gently around a person's face. Look for soft light, harsh light, backlight, side light, reflected light, shadows, highlights. Basically, become a student of light. Because the best photographers don't just find better subjects. They find better light. And the great thing is, light is everywhere. Sometimes it's dramatic, sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it only lasts for a few seconds, but it's always there. So photography is basically the art of seeing. And light is one of the most important things we can learn to see. Because once you start noticing light, like the evening sun skimming across a building, or reflections lifting the shadows, you find yourself thinking, that would make a great photograph way before you even reach for your camera. And that's a massive shift, because you're no longer reacting to what you see, you're starting to anticipate it. And when you can anticipate a good photograph, you're already thinking like a photographer. But there's also something else happening here. Beautiful light does more than make a photograph look good. It draws your eye, it creates mood, and it helps the viewer understand what matters most. In other words, it helps you tell the story you want to tell. And that's why learning to see light is one of the best investments you can ever make as a photographer. Is this all making sense? So let's just pause for a moment and look at what we've done already. We've learned to see more in ordinary subjects. We've discovered that great photographs can definitely be found close to home. We started training our eyes to recognize light. And without realizing it, we're already starting to make better decisions, more deliberate decisions. And that's exactly what we need to do. None of this has cost us a penny. We didn't need a new camera. None of it required a whole day off. Just a few minutes spent with purpose. And I actually think that's the real lesson here. It's not the amount of time that changes your photography. It's what you choose to do with the time you have. And that's the difference. In fact, if you remember just one thing from this video, make it this. It's not the hours you put into photography. It's the photography you put into the hours. I should put that on the t-shirt. Anyway, just take that in for a moment. Because 10 minutes of deliberate practice where you're really thinking, really observing, will teach you far more than 3 hours of wandering around hoping something happens, hoping something jumps out at you. Real improvement doesn't come from spending more time. It comes from spending your time more deliberately. Hopefully you can see where I'm coming from here. So we've trained our eyes. We started making more deliberate decisions. And if you do these exercises, they'll definitely help you become a better photographer. But there's one final exercise today, and this one might surprise you, because it doesn't ask you to find a new photograph. It's about revisiting an old one. So our final exercise is a little bit different, because this time it's not about looking for something new. It's about looking back. So go back through some of your older photos, maybe some you took last year, or even some you took 5 years ago. Then choose a photograph you still like, but one that, if you're honest, you know you could actually improve on today. Then go back and, if possible, remake it. Not recreate it as such, but remake it. Put a different spin on it, if you like. And use everything you've learned since you first took it. Look more carefully. Pay more attention to the light. Think about your composition. Ask yourself, what story am I trying to tell? And then make the photograph again. This is quite a fascinating experience, because sometimes the new photograph is better and sometimes it isn't. But that isn't really the point. The point is that you're no longer just pressing the shutter. You're thinking, you're evaluating, you're asking yourself questions. What have I learned? What would I do differently? What can I improve on? Because improvement doesn't just come from taking thousands of photos. It comes from learning something from every photograph you take. And that's a completely different way of thinking. So I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 exercises are you going to try first? Or perhaps you've got a 10-minute exercise of your own that's helped you improve. If you have, share it in the comments below. I read and respond to everyone. And there's a really good chance that something you share will inspire somebody else here to pick up their camera. And that's a really nice thought. So let me leave you with one final thought today. I don't think most photographers stop improving because they lack talent. I don't think they stop improving because they don't own the right camera. And I definitely don't think they stop improving because they don't know enough. I think it's actually because they keep waiting. Waiting for more time. Waiting for better weather maybe. Waiting for a new lens. Or waiting until life becomes that little bit less busy. But photography doesn't reward people who wait. It rewards people who show up consistently, even if that's only for 10 minutes. And just think about this for a moment. 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 the day after that. It doesn't sound like that much. But over the course of a year, that adds up to more than 60 hours of deliberate practice. 60 hours, that's a decent amount of time, I'm sure you'd agree. And not of random shooting, not of hoping to get lucky, but of purposeful practice, learning and growing. More of becoming the photographer you actually want to be. And when you look at it like that, 10 minutes doesn't feel small or insignificant at all. It feels like the first step on a much bigger journey. So don't wait for the perfect day. Don't wait for your next holiday. Don't wait until life slows down. Pick up your camera, find 10 minutes and just do it. And maybe in a year from now, you won't remember the 10 minutes. You'll remember the photographer they helped you become. And for me, that's what this has always been about. Helping you become a better photographer, one small step at a time. And if you'd like to keep the momentum going, come and join us in our Photography Foundations community. It'd be really great to see you there. So if you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, a thumbs up would be great. It really does help the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, it really is appreciated. So that's it for this one. Take care and I'll see you soon.